Why does Royal Caribbean keep overbooking cruises? It's not a widespread problem. Here's the reality. I'm going to guess that you've seen this reported on certain websites or even YouTube channels, right? I'm not here telling you that it's not happening, but it's a very, 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 very low amount. A couple things to keep in mind. Number one, even when it does occur, there's so many people that volunteer for them that nobody's being forced off. Not one person has been kicked off a cruise involuntarily because it's been oversold. Does it happen? Sure. Unfortunately, sometimes it's mistakes on Royal Caribbean. I'm not excusing it, but it's not widespread. It's just, we live in this internet age. Of course, everybody posts everything on Facebook and social media, which is great. I enjoy it. I'm a social media person, so I greatly benefit from this. But I feel like it's been blown out of proportion, given that it's been reported on various websites and YouTube channels. There, it's not a big deal. It's so unlikely to occur to your sailing, and on top of that, I've been on cruises, by the way, Greg. I was on Wonder of the Seas, which this occurred on, and I think somebody tried calling because they wanted to get the offer, and they were like, "No, we already got all the volunteers." So it's not a big deal because it's so unlikely to occur, and even when it does occur, there's some people that volunteer, they haven't kicked anybody off yet. So I hope it doesn't happen anymore. Obviously, I think Royal Caribbean doesn't want it to happen anymore, but it's been blown out of proportion. It's the best way I can describe it. Can you still order more than one dish in the main dining room with the new menus? Yes, absolutely. They'll only serve you the dishes, the entrees, one at a time, but you can absolutely order more than one. The only limitation to that, Katie, is lobster. On lobster night, if your cruise is 6 nights or longer, in which you have a second formal night, and you'll have a lobster night on Royal night, and for that's one lobster is complimentary. Any additional cost extra, but all the other entrees on all the other nights and including that night are unlimited there. So you can get as many as you want. If we go to the main dining room and do not like the options, can we go back to the buffet? Of course you can. Absolutely, Larry. You can go to both. Heck, you can love the main dining room and still go to the buffet. They don't check you at the entrance like, oh no, excuse me, Larissa, you've already been to the main dining room. They don't care. You can go to either one, no problem, on the same night. They don't mind at all. Any hacks for carrying around bottles of water or soda that you bring on vacation day? Yeah. Have kids, raise them so they can carry it for you. Is that not an option? No. I mean, the only thing you could do, I'm sure someone in the chat is already saying you should buy the key, because one of the benefits of the key is you can drop off your carry-on stuff on embarkation day. I would argue it's not worth it because you're paying for 2 hours, 3 hours convenience but you're paying for the duration of the cruise. There really isn't. Some people, Royal Caribbean says not to do this, but some people do. When they go to the porters, they'll put a luggage tag on the case of water and tip the guy and be like, hey, can you make sure it gets here? I can't tell you or promise you that works, but I certainly wouldn't do that. I just, my best advice to you is find a place like on the pool deck, plop it down, somebody sits with it, other people get drinks for that person who is sitting with it. What do I have to look forward to on Wonder of the Seas? Amazing entertainment, tons of dining options, and lots to do on board the ship. I say this in a positive way. There is an overwhelming amount of things to do on a ship like Wonder of the Seas. So you don't have to do them all, by the way. You can just sit there and take naps and hang out by the pool. But I'm just pointing out, you have a ton of choices. That's what you're really paying for. The latest and greatest that Royal Caribbean has to offer right there. Does the insurance that Royal Caribbean offer cover all necessities? No. What I mean by that is, and this is true of all insurance policies, Mark, travel insurance is not a one insurance policy covers all. There are many different types of travel insurance with different policies. It's more like auto insurance, right? Auto insurance, you can get cut rate, you can get amazing, you can get mid-grade, you can get that. Like, travel insurance is very similar. It's more similar to car insurance than it is to flood insurance, which is pretty much you either have it or you don't. Travel insurance is not like that. There are different levels, different coverages. So you should not, this is actually a mistake, Mark, just assume, oh, Royal Caribbean or any other one, I need to buy it from company X and it's going to cover me. You need to read the policy and be clear on what it covers, what it doesn't cover, and most importantly, when it actually kicks in. You know, if Royal Caribbean plans to do full upgrades to the older and smaller ships. No, they don't have any announced plans for that. So as of right now, I wouldn't expect it. Part of that reason, Brian, is because Royal Caribbean is dealing with a mountain of debt that they got to work through. So they're trying to limit their spending where they can. Are specialty restaurants open on embarkation day? Yes. My advice to you, William, is check out a past cruise compass from Wonder of the Seas, and you will see exactly which ones, because depending on the ship, certain specialty restaurants are or are not open for embarkation day. So that's my advice to you is go look at the cruise compass for a past sailing, and that way you know which ones will be. So what is the best cruise port to leave from for first time cruiser? There isn't one I wouldn't recommend. If you're a first time cruiser, forget the port. Although, okay, well, that's a fair point. I was going to say forget the port. Okay. If you can drive to a port because you live near it within driving distance, there's a good reason, a good rationale to take a cruise from there because being able to drive to your cruise port is really nice. I freely admit that. I wouldn't let that be your overarching goal. But if you live in like, Omaha, okay, well, it doesn't matter. There's no port near you. So I really, for first time cruisers, I recommend an Oasis or a Quantum class ship because they generally offer the latest and greatest. And as a new cruiser, you're not exactly sure what you want, what you like. It's a good catch-all to ensure that you have probably a good experience overall. And then you can kind of narrow down and focus on the type of cruising that you enjoy. But obviously, if you live in like New York, as an example, I would lean heavily towards a cruise out of Bayonne because it's in your backyard and you can drive to it. So by the same token, if you live in the mid-Atlantic region, I wouldn't, it's nice to be able to go out, drive to your cruise, but I'd be the first one to admit that, a Vision class ship that sails out of Baltimore is not necessarily the best ship for first time cruiser. So there, in that situation, it would be better to fly, but it kind of depends on where you live, Blake, and a couple things. So I don't necessarily look specifically at the ports. It's more about the ship choice for first-time cruiser. We'll be in a Crown Loft Suite for the first time on Allure of the Seas. What are your recommendations to take full advantage of the suite perks? Ooh, make friends with the concierge. I mean, just go to the concierge. Now, well, number one, if you have a dining package, Jason, when you get the email from the concierge about a week before the cruise, email them back and ask them to make dining reservations for you. When you get on board the ship, with your dining package, of course, when you get on board the ship, introduce yourself to the concierge, get to know them, hang out in the suite lounge. The suite lounge is going to be your friend. It's going to be your home away from home, because your cabin is your home away from home. Spend some time in there and take advantage of the reserved seating for shows that the concierge has. And the best perk is priority disembarkation, Jason. So when the cruise is over, make sure you set up with the concierge ahead of time that they can walk you off the ship. You'll feel like a celebrity when they do that. So I'm scared to be sick on my first cruise. If you're referring to seasickness, that's a lot of first timers have that concern, Mark. So you are Mark Andre, excuse me. You are not alone on that one. But there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, there's a good chance you're not going to get seasick. Okay, the motion in the ocean may not be such that you actually get seasick. So it's not like you get on board and it's like all of a sudden, you're going to feel it. A cruise ship is not like your buddy's fishing boat. You ever been on a fishing boat? I went on a fishing boat for the first time a number of years ago, and I was like, oh, on cruises, I'm good. I got seasick almost immediately because there's a lot more of the, back and forth. Anyway, cruise ships don't not move nearly like that. So that's number one. Number two, if you were to get seasick, let's talk worst case scenario. Very easily treatable. If I were you, Mark Andre, I would go and buy at your local pharmacy or on Amazon an over-the-counter medication called Bonine, Bonine. You take it once a day. Start taking it 24 hours before your cruise. Just take it once a day, regular time. You won't get seasick. And don't take it at all. Wait. If you do get seasick, pop them. They work pretty quickly, and then you'll start feeling a lot better very quickly there. Leaving on Liberty of the Seas out of Fort Lauderdale, January 19th. Never been on that ship. Any pros and cons of the ship? They've got Saturday Night Fever, the Broadway musical, which is great, and it's free. Check it out over there. The cons of the ship is that basically it has not received the updates that Freedom and Independence of the Seas received. They're both the same class of ships, but it's still a great ship. It's a fun time. You'll have a great time on there, two-wheeled rocket. Don't worry too much about it. Do I need to worry about September cruise due to hurricane season? Worry? No. Is it a possibility it can impact your cruise? Yeah. But I cruise every year, Alex, in September. And it doesn't stop me. I mean, occasionally we've had to change itineraries, but it's not likely to impact you. So take advantage of the lower pricing. Yeah, but do it. I mean, you gotta be okay, Alex, though, with the possibility of your cruise being, rerouted. But as long as you're okay with that, you shouldn't worry at all. It's great. On that note, thank you all so much for joining us here. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun, and we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.